Hi there, I'm Robert, and thanks for tuning in. Now this channel documents my journey towards my goal of retirement in around about 10 years or so, hence the channel name 10 Years to Retirement. So in this video I want to discuss why I have recently turned down the chance to apply for a job which would have given me a pay rise of around about 50%. So my current job, I earn just a little bit under £30,000 per year before tax and national insurance and other deductions. And recently there was another job opportunity came up within the industry I work, within the same company that I work for, where the salary was, once you completed your training and kind of new job probation type thing, the salary was just under £45,000 per year. So, like I say, it was a pay rise of around about 50%. Hi there. I'm sorry to interrupt the video that you're watching. I'm just going to ask a quick favour from you if you don't mind. So the YouTube algorithm works on positive interactions. So if you don't mind, could I please ask, could you quickly give this video a thumbs up? Leave a little comment in the comment section below, and if you're not already a subscriber, please would you go and hit that subscribe button right now? I really appreciate it if you do that. It really helps my channel. But anyway, sorry for the interruption, and back to the video. Now, obviously, while the before deductions pay amount would have been around about 50%, the actual difference in my pay packet, had I successfully gained the job, would have been around about £600 or £700 a month extra. So while the overall pay is a 50% pay rise, the actual amount in my pocket would have been around about £600 or £700 a month, which is no small amount. In fact, it's quite a massive amount, at least to me it is. So you're probably thinking, why didn't you go for the job then? So it's a little bit crackers really. So this particular job, I've actually wanted this job for the last 20 years that I've worked in my current role. I've applied for this job several times over the years, but unfortunately I've always been unsuccessful when I've applied. There's always a lot of candidates go for the job, and to be blunt, obviously I wasn't good enough. I don't want to come across as sour grapes or anything like that. Not at all. The assessors deemed these people better for the job, and they got it and I didn't. And like I say, that's that. This time, when the vacancy came up, I completed my initial application. Obviously, the way the world is now, you do your application online. So I completed the online application. I done the pre-screening questions. I completed all of those. And I was successful, and I got through to the point of a video interview. Now, like I say, I've worked for my employer for 20 years, and I've spoken to people who've climbed the ladder over the years, and I kind of have a little bit of an idea of what the recruitment process is and what kind of things they may or may not ask you during the interview stage. Excuse me, I'm just going to readjust myself. So like I say, trying to think ahead and preempt what kind of questions I might be asked, I was advised by different managers who I spoke to try and think of different scenarios and experiences that I've gained over my 20 years of employment. And then if a question came up, I may well be able to link it to that scenario. So I know that my company employ the STAR method when doing interviews. I've got the little printout just here that I downloaded off the internet. So for those that are not familiar, the STAR method is S. Explain the situation so that your interviewer understands the context of your example. They do not need to know every detail. That accounts for 20% of the mark. The T, next, talk about the task, problem or challenge that you took responsibility for completing or the goal of your effort. that accounts for 10% of the mark. The A stands for describe the actions that you personally took to complete the task or to reach the end goal. Highlight your skills or character traits addressed in the question. That is a biggie. That accounts for 60% of the overall mark. And finally, the R, explain the positive outcome or results of your actions or effort. Here it is important to highlight quantifiable results, and that accounts for 10% of the mark. So like I say, I had spoken to a few managers. I'd thought of loads of different scenarios, some work related, some not work related. And on the advice of several managers, I had them all printed out, ready kind of to go. So if a question came up, for example, the role that I was applying for is a customer service role. So explain a time when you've given excellent customer service. I could have thought, oh, right, okay, well, I've got scenario A over there, so I'll link it to that and describe that using the STAR technique. So I'd logged into the online portal, ready to do the video interview, and I thought to myself, I'm going to have one last cup of coffee, just chill out, because I was getting myself a little bit kind of stressed, anxious, whatever, for the interview, you know. And I thought I would just discuss things through with my partner. During the discussions, obviously, my partner said to me, why do you want this job? And to be honest, the only reason I wanted the job was for the extra money. So over the last 20 years, when I've wanted the job, I've really, really wanted that job. Once upon a time, I would have done the job for the same salary that I'm on now. But when I sat and, like I say, discussed things with my partner, I no longer had the desire for the job. I only wanted the pay rise. Now, that's not a bad thing in itself. Let's be brutally honest. We only ever go to work for the money. So wanting a promotion in exchange for a higher salary, you know, it's normal. But then we started discussing the kind of negative aspects of getting the job, the changes to life currently. So the job that I have currently, I have pretty much set hours. They might vary within an hour here or two for the start time and finish time, but I know for a fact I will be starting work early mornings. That's my choice. So we have different shift patterns at work. You can choose early mornings, kind of normal working times, daytimes, you know, like kind of 8 or 9 till 5 or 6, evenings and lates. So me personally, I choose very early mornings. They suit my life. I start work sometime between 4:30 and 6:30 in the morning. I choose that. I opt for that. That works for me. Now, if I'd applied for this other role and been successful in getting it, I would have gone on to what is called a big link roster. So the big link roster rotates through all of the shift patterns that our company operates, rotating over a 53-week cycle. So while I would know with certainty what I would be working for a year in advance, sometimes I'd be working at 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes I would be starting work at 5 p.m. and finishing at 2 a.m. in the morning. I've done that before when I first started with the company. I didn't like it. It didn't suit my life at all. The job itself was great, but the hours, they didn't work for my family. It was awful, and had I applied for the job, it would have meant going back to those as well. As well as the big link roster with the what I would call unsociable hours for my life. As well as being a customer service role, it is also a revenue enforcement role. You're putting yourself in increased conflict situations. You're asking people to pay you a lot of money who are falling foul of the rules kind of thing, who haven't paid the correct amount. And I've witnessed it. You know, it's not nice when you see people shouting and swearing at your colleagues, calling them every name under the sun, making horrible personal attacks. and you've just got to kind of grin and bear it while saying, thank you very much, but please can you pay what you owe? You know, so I would have been putting myself in that situation where the personal attacks would have been aimed at me. Also, as well as the attacks being verbal, over the last few years, increasingly in society, we are witnessing people not just verbally attacking others, but physically attacking people more and more. So unfortunately, as well as the increased risks of verbal attacks, there would have been the risk of physical attacks. So yeah, while me and my partner were having a coffee and discussing this prior to my application, like I say, we're going through things more and more, and it started to dawn on me more and more that actually the only reason I wanted the job was for the extra money, which, like I say, in my goal to retire within 10 years would have been a massive boost. You know, I could have, let's say I got a pay rise of £600. I could have increased my mortgage payments by £300. I could have put £150 into an ISA or another savings account, and I could have had an extra £150 to live on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. But actually, when we weighed up all of the cons against the singular pro of increased money, we decided now, for me, at this stage in my life, in my journey towards retirement, it wasn't worth it. Now, I'm not saying that I won't apply for this role at any point in the future, or a different role if one becomes available. But like I say, for me, right now, at this time, I just felt actually, I didn't want this job. I didn't want to apply. And although it was quite a large pay rise, it wasn't enough to justify the disruption to my current life and an increase of risk of conflict to me right now. Hopefully that makes sense. So I finished my coffee and I went back onto the online portal, and there is an option obviously to withdraw your application. So that is what I did. I withdrew the application and here I am. So if you've enjoyed this video and you haven't already, please do give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, please do leave them in the comment section down below. I do try my very best to reply to all comments that people leave. And if you are not already a subscriber, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. If you've got a few moments before you run away, why don't you check out one of my other videos? I'll put a link just over here to the video where I describe my life in a nutshell right now. And I'll put a link just down here where I describe my financial situation just now. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.